if you just think about how much capitalism has seeped into the every being of the human experience.
Mass incarceration, a total annihilation, climate change,
Bro.
oppression.
Hey everyone, welcome back to 20-some Tings. My name is Miriam.
My name is Bria, the boldest, the baddest, the bravest. You know what it is. Next.
I'm Abby.
Taylor.
Today we have for you another conversation / discussion. Today's topic is going to be about self-love.
In today's world, it can be very hard to feel good about yourself, especially with everything that's going around in the external. So we just want to touch base on some things that we have been able to implement, especially this year, but as we've gotten older, to help us feel good on the internal. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. And also be realistic about the things that we have not been able to implement. We want to give both sides to give a holistic view of self-love. It's not always a positive, linear process, so we're just gonna talk about that.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. Right, so ladies, what is self-love to you?
Yo! Guys, what I have felt self-love means to me is, well, I got caught up in the beginning, especially with self-love. I feel it's like a bit of a trend right now, and it's a very new concept to everybody. But I feel like in the beginning, I kind of was focusing more like kind of the external and kind of like how I care for myself, because self-care is a part of self-love. But in terms of self-love, I was just thinking about kind of all the good things and me having to just be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you. I love everything that you are. And I felt something that I struggled with in the beginning is battling self-hate. Like, that's the opposite of that, but battling self-hate. And what I learned in this journey of self-love is that self-love is kind of the end game, the end all. Kind of when we are at the end of our lives, we should be able to look back and say, you know, I love myself and all that I am. What I strive for right now that I feel like maybe comes before love is just like a radical self-acceptance of myself. And so I feel like it's hard to be able one day to say I hate something and then the next day you automatically love it. And so I feel like the first step is to be able to like look at yourself, all that you are, your flaws, what you don't like about yourself, what you are willing to change about yourself, and kind of start there and say, I am who I am. And from there builds self-tolerance, self-compassion, self-kindness. It kind of builds the building blocks to self-love. But that's how I've been able to like see it.
I feel like, especially this year, self-love has taken a backseat. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. And I think self-love is just the opposite of like self-sabotage. I think it's so easy for us to just kind of, I don't know, put these like mental roadblocks, or just telling yourself like, oh, like why, I don't know, it's, I see, this is why I came to talk about self-love.
Me neither, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bria, that got me emotional.
Really, guys? I mean, that's just the way because I feel like on social media, when people were talking about self-love, and I guess when it was really popular, it was like the masks and being able to get facials and massages and be in your robes with your incense and stuff. And like, yes, self-care is definitely like pivotal to how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself. Yes, like if you don't care about yourself, then you can't love yourself. I just feel like, for me at least, it was almost like kind of like a band-aid solution to how I was feeling about myself in terms of like my esteem. And it was because there was a lot of self-judgment, and I always think about, I guess, the love I have for myself. I try to take myself out of it and like, how would I treat another person? How would I show love to another person? Like, how would I treat them? And I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I speak for myself, only myself. But sometimes I don't give myself as much compassion or kindness as I would somebody else. And I don't know why that is. That's just maybe the way my brain is wired. But I feel like a lot of other people might be there as well. And why it was hard for people to give into this idea of self-love or self-care is because you are stuck at that one point first. And there's a lot of things you have to, feelings you have to address, or things you have to do for yourself before you can love yourself. Because I feel like that's how it is with other people.
Yeah.
I don't well, some people might, but I don't instantly fall in love with stuff. And so it takes me steps. There's like levels to it, and that's just how I viewed it. Gotta take the levels.
It's levels to this.
Gotta take the levels.
I think another thing, definitely Taylor, you do this a lot, where you're always advising me on certain things. And so I think, yes, positive advice.
Oh, okay. I was like, is he dead?
No, I didn't hear you say that. But positive advice from like, just as a friend or a sister or whatever. And I think what helps me kind of improve on my self-love is like, what advice would I give Taylor? Let me apply it to myself. Like, if Taylor was in this situation, I would have all the things to say, but like, why don't we meet ourselves with that level of grace when we're like talking about ourselves, we're judging ourselves, but we didn't judge her, or like we didn't judge like any one of us when we're talking to each other about certain things that go on in our lives. So I think replicating that compassion, like you touched on, for ourselves, even if it helps acting like you're giving advice to someone close to you, and like writing it down and then like rewriting it and putting yourself in there, I think that would help. And like creating a daily habit or mantra of doing that. You gotta practice it. You gotta exercise that muscle.
There's I was listening to this podcast, and there was this therapist who said like you should look in the mirror and you should look yourself in the eye and say, I'm thankful to be a part of such an amazing vessel, or I am glad that I can love such an amazing vessel. So I feel like, just like what you were saying, trying to be like kind to yourself. Say like, if you make a mistake, instead of like being down on yourself, just kind of be like, that's okay, like you'll get the next time. Give yourself a hug. I don't know, it's easy to put yourself down instead of kind of like how you would a friend. Talk them out of that mental headspace. I think that it is a muscle that you have to continue to work on. Always. I think it's easy to also like relapse, right? It's easy to like go back to like your old ways, but I think if you constantly like just look at yourself in the mirror or keep saying like these positive like mantras in your head, just those go-tos, I think it really does kind of like change like your whole your whole energy.
I definitely think like after. Ooh, did you want to say something? Sorry.
I did.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Taylor, Mike. Speak up. You know, it's funny that you said like you put yourself in like my shoes, I guess, and like you try to be like, okay, this is the advice I would give Taylor. Like, let me apply that to my life. And I'd be like, I'd be giving out all the advice. I don't apply none of it. Like,
that is very true.
I'd be like, yeah, girl, like this is what you need to do, and leave him. Like, you know, I give all the advice. He ain't treat like I will give all the advice. Don't take it. Like when I apply it to myself, but like self-aware. And I know that's like something that I need to work on because I'm just really critical and like just I hold myself to a very high standard. So it's just like really difficult for me to sometimes to, you know, extend the same grace that I give others to myself. And even like be as forgiving to myself for like the mistakes that I have and like my flaws as I am for other people's flaws and mistakes. So yeah, that's something I've been working on with self-love and, you know, trying to process through. But yeah, you know, that's just where I'm at. Like, I won't be accepting none of my advice.
That's the thing, like I have so many notes of like quotes and everything, and like I can give it to all my friends. Like if they have an issue, I was like, oh, I have a quote for you, like don't even worry about it. But when it comes to the execution for myself,
It's just not there.
it's not there. And hopefully, like maybe with this talk, I'll be able to implement it more in the future. But I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like there's so many ideas out there. There's so many like different things that all these quotes, all the there's so much information out there that we could use on ourselves. But
You have some lipstick on your teeth. I just wanted to say it. Okay, bring it back. I'm trying to think of a reason why maybe people are so much harder on themselves than they are other people. It's like, where have we learned that behavior? What have we what reactions have we been like programmed to have when it comes to those behaviors, or what expectations do people have for themselves that has put that kind of pressure on us to where if we are not functioning in, I guess, the best way, then we are not worthy of like loving ourselves or accepting ourselves.
I have an answer.
I have an answer too.
Oh my God, spit it, because I want to know.
Capitalism.
Wait, bring a new perspective because that was not the
to capitalism. No,
Now that you say
but on the real,
on the real, I'm interested.
But on the real, because we live in a very capitalistic society that's based on competition. So, like, in terms of trying to be a better person, trying to, you know, get as much money as possible, be, you know, as popular as possible, whatever it is, like, you know, achieve all the things that you want in life, I guess. We're always trying to put ourselves ahead of people. And so we neglect our, you know, personal needs and our personal well-being because we're trying to get ahead. We're trying to, I'm successful. I'm out here, you know, making money. I'm doing this, like, because we're just constantly in that mindset. And so that's why I think it's just like we've conditioned ourselves to be very competitive. And so it's like, it's okay for you to not have your stuff together, but I have to have it together because I need to keep going. Like, you know, so I can extend that grace to you because, all right, but she's just gonna be a mess over there. But as for me, like, I'm gonna keep pushing, like, I'm gonna keep getting to this money because that's just what we've been conditioned to do. That's the society that we live in. And it's because of capitalism. Like,
No, but actually,
Capitalism.
if you think about it.
I'm with you. I know, I'm definitely with you there.
Yeah.
Listen, I was telling Rhea this earlier, how, like, especially nowadays, like, we put our self-worth, it is tied to productivity, it is tied to how much money you make, it's tied to motivation to keep going forward and to gain, that that's why we constantly put ourselves down because we're not at where we thought that we should be. So it's like, oh, why should I be telling me why should I tell myself all these positive affirmations, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm nowhere near where I'm supposed to be, so I need to, like, grind. And then after that, once I accomplish that, then maybe I can be easy on myself and whatever. But then it's like, once you are there, then you're gonna be thinking about the next thing. You're gonna be thinking about the next goal.
Never.
And it's just, you have a very compelling argument, honestly.
That's a great argument. But what I've been learning in the past 2 years, I feel like when you're in school and college, you just have so many things going on to where you don't have time to sit with yourself and understand, why am I like this? Why do I do this? And a lot of it is linked to how you were raised, because if you acted a certain way and you were, like, I don't want to say traumatized, but, like, if you were scolded at, for instance, like, you don't want to do that same thing to get that same reaction. So that's where that conditioning starts building to where you're like, oh, I have to act like this to be accepted. It's all rooted, to me, pretty much in, like, acceptance. And I like what Bria said about, like, retraining, kind of. It's like a lot of psychologists with people who have, like, who experience trauma and stuff. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just saying that some of the things they teach their clients and stuff is to reparent themselves in the way that you would, like, want to parent somebody that's been through what you've been through, pretty much. So kind of you have to retrain yourself, because a lot of it is, like, years back, when you were 2, when you were 3, when you were 5, like, all the way up to when we're 23, 24. We can't expect ourselves to change overnight for something that's been conditioning us since we've been young.
That's definitely something that I'm gonna do for my kids, like, tell them every single day, speak into them.
Yeah, and I think self-awareness, you were saying, like, I don't implement, but self-awareness is implementation in itself, because some people just walk around, they don't care to acknowledge it. Like, you're over here being crazy, moving mad, but you don't want to acknowledge the internal things that are happening.
Self-awareness has definitely helped me because it's like, at least I'm not staying in the space.
Yeah.
Like, at least I know what I need to work on, and I know the issues, and, like, I'm taking active steps to fix it or to help myself. So, like, this year I started therapy. Like, never would have started therapy in the past, but, like, I was like, these are some things that I really want to address, like, and this is going to be something that I work on this year. Like, I cannot just sit with myself and be complacent and, like, hurting me and, you know, and not dealing with my emotions, not dealing with my personal well-being. So, not saying that I'm better, but I'm taking the steps to be better, and that's what matters.
That is what matters.
And that's better in itself, taking the steps. You're already one step ahead than you were before.
Listen, words have power. So I think for me, it's very important that I, like, try to be compelling with my word, because you may not think that what you say, what you can say, what you put out into the universe really can influence a lot of things. So I think if you're always compelling with your word, It's better.
Good way.
You guys make some great points. But I just think it's really important to, like you said, be committed to that and stay committed to that, because at the end of the day, how you feel about yourself, that's gonna reflect out. And when you think about like how people treat other people and how in times like people make mistakes or will like treat people in a way that's unkind, it always comes back to you and like how you were feeling. Everything is motivated by how you feel about yourself. So it's important to like put your mask on, so at the end of the day, you know that you were acting with the kindness that you would give yourself, like that you were treating people how you want to be treated.
Self-love is also acknowledging the fact that, I think I said this in the other video, but like just like what Bria said, that it's a reflection, like it reflects out in how you treat other people. Self-love is understanding that how some people treat you is not a reflection of you. I think that's a profound thing to like internalize, and like that helps you to love yourself better, because the more you think that other people are treating you like it's your fault, the way people treat you, like the more you stay stuck and the more you actually go further down, because you're still seeking that validation, you're still deviating from who you're called to be, and it's just the cycle that just keeps spiraling.
About, but it's not.
Is that a joke?
Oh, the battery's dying? Maybe this is God telling us to get our stuff together.
Yeah.
All right.
There's other batteries. I'm just like, I just can't.
All right,
Cut. Cut.
Next week with the 20-somethings.
So ladies, now that we know what we believe self-love to be, like how do you implement it in your daily life? Like what are some ways that you feel like you've been able to work towards being able to love yourself?